The LA Times has just come out with an article revealing that Netflix is in debt by the tune of $20 billion. Now, as an avid Netflix fan and subscriber, I want to know how that works out. So we're going to break that down for you right now. The global streaming giant today boasts some impressive stats: 104 million subscribers worldwide, up 25% from last year, and almost quadruple from 5 years ago. Its series and movies account for more than a third of all primetime download internet traffic in North America. Its more than 50 original shows garnered 91 Emmy Award nominations this year, second only to premium cable service HBO. But according to the LA Times, Netflix has accumulated a hefty $20.54 billion in long-term debt and obligations in its efforts to produce more original content. Now, the result of that is that Netflix is burning through cash at a growing clip. The company is pouring money into expensive prestige projects and expects to spend at least $6 billion in content this year. Its net cash outflow this year is forecast to grow to as much as $2.5 billion, up from $1.7 billion last year. You would think that investors might be concerned because of how high these numbers are, but apparently investors actually have expressed approval on Netflix's spending because they believe you have to spend money to make money. And Netflix's shares have surged to more than 10% the month after it reported this subscriber growth that it has had. Now, conversely, some experts are saying that the Netflix bubble is bound to burst, that you can't be top dog forever. It went from being this very underdog, subscription-based, they would mail you your DVDs, sort of a service, and now it is absolutely sort of the standard in the industry, and they say that that's going to burst, and if the company fails to produce enough hit series that would keep attracting new subscribers, that this is kind of doomsday for them. So what Netflix is trying to do is they want to self-produce originals so that 50% of its slate, so its upcoming like projects, all its offerings, they will own instead of doing more sort of licensing for TV series. That's where they're trying to curb the costs.
Right.
But in order to do that, you have to spend more to make these shows so acclaimed. I don't know how this is going to work out. So Netflix is still fairly low on the learning curve compared with HBO, and its self-produced original series have had mixed success. Whereas Stranger Things quickly became a popular and critical hit, shows like Santa Clarita Diet and The Ranch have so far failed to generate buzz. What they need to do is what they're trying to do is invest all this money into the shows that have been proven successes, and then divest from shows that were very expensive and didn't do so well. They cite in this article The Get Down and Sense8, which were canceled. But the company has said it renewed 93% of its shows and continues to greenlight new shows at a rapid pace, with a growing emphasis on foreign titles to cater to its overseas markets, which apparently is also growing.
Yeah.
This to me is interesting because Netflix is still outspending all its competitors, and people don't really know exactly where Netflix should be spending its money. That's what I think is unclear, is that Netflix is so new, we don't really know where this sort of business model goes.
Right.
In the LA Times article, they say, should they be doing more thought-provoking documentaries that go viral like Blackfish, or should it be more Adam Sandler comedies? However you feel about either of those things, which one does better to bringing in new subscribers? So what do you think about this?
I mean, okay, one, if Stranger Things ever leaves, I'm gonna be pissed.
No,
first of all, let me just point that out. But I mean, there are, if you are a Netflix subscriber, I mean, everybody who does have Netflix has probably complained about there being like shows and movies that they're just like, why are these on here? Like, what's the point? Why don't you have this? But when you say that,
is it Netflix originals that you complain about, or is it?
No, not the Netflix originals. They do have some really good Netflix originals, which I think they need to continue doing. Which, I mean, in my opinion, that's where they should be investing their money. I think they need to be a little bit smarter about what shows they do put a lot of money into, because, like you said, Santa Clarita Diet and The Ranch have not done so well, but there has been a couple that have obviously exploded. But I think they could definitely, save some money on not putting those, like, I don't know if you've watched all the ridiculous horror movies they have on there. Have you ever seen Ginger Dead Man, by the way?
I haven't seen that.
Okay, that's on Netflix.
But I have seen most.
It's about a killer gingerbread man. Why is that on Netflix?
Because that's what I'm watching tonight. You know I love
No, they literally have like all three of them. There's more than one.
Okay, so I see them moving away from licensing, and I feel uncertain about that, because something that I loved about Netflix, what sold me on getting a Netflix account, was watching these classic movies, watching
Right.
these old TV shows that you can't really find anywhere else. Now,
true.
of course, there's more competition because you have Hulu, you have Amazon, YouTube, I'm sure is gonna be HBO,
Yeah.
right. So you have a lot more competition now, but still, that's what I like about Netflix is, like, I would say 40% of its original shows, and then 60% of their classic movies, their horror movies. That's my favorite genre to go
Yeah, they
look
have a lot of
through.
good horror movies.
So I'm a little nervous about what the future is for this, and
Right.
I do think that potentially the Netflix bubble could burst if they don't find cheaper shows that bring in new subscribers. I actually saw something this morning about Carol Burnett is getting her own unscripted series on Netflix, and that to me is, I think, maybe a genius move, because
Right.
what is the generation that doesn't have a Netflix account? It's our parents' generation.
Exactly, yeah.
And that is those are the new subscribers that they will need to bring in,
Yeah.
and what brings them in are sort of old-time classic
People of their
figures like
generation,
Carol
right.
Burnett. Because otherwise, it's why my mom doesn't want to go see the gingerbread dead man. Like, she doesn't care about
She might.
House of Cards, really,
Yeah.
or Orange is the New Black is a little bit too violent, you know. So that's not her thing. But if you bring in, if you emphasize to the older generation
Right.
why you can cut costs and get a Netflix subscription, that is where I see the growth
Right.
happening. And apparently, there's a whole bunch of growth going on overseas, but we probably don't get access to a lot of those.
Exactly,
Well,
yeah.
I'm sure we get access to some of them, because I'm always surprised when it's like, do you want to look at like Korean teen
Foreign
dramas?
films,
And I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, I
Like,
do.
actually, yes.
Yes, I do. Guys, we want you to solve this in the comment section below. How will you get Netflix
Help
out of debt?
Netflix.
Were you as surprised as I was that Netflix is in debt? But then when you think about it, you're like, oh, this business model would be a little bit difficult to sustain past a certain point. Let us know in the comment section below. Tell me your favorite Netflix show, your favorite Netflix horror movie. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and we will see you next time on Pop Trigger.